A red canoe sits abandoned on Seymour Rock, right where the river hits the Long Island Sound. The elegantly dressed corpse of a woman lies inside. Enter the mysterious world of corporate espionage as author and former FBI Director James Comey takes readers for a thrilling ride in his new book, Westport. Mr. Comey joins us now. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's great to be with you, Lindsay.
So, second book in the series. Curious, what led you to decide to go down this road? I think people could have expected that you would write books, but that you'd actually get into the mystery and suspense thriller field.
I wrote nonfiction, and my editors started pushing me, telling me that they liked the way I wrote narrative and dialogue. They kept calling real parts of my life scenes, which I pushed back on. And they said, give it a try. You may find it funner than you think. And I did, and I found it addictive. This is kind of my job now.
Is that right? So there will be more?
Yeah, I'm already finishing the third, which will be out next spring, the third in this trilogy involving Nora Carlton.
And so how do you go about, because they're all tied to a location. So the first one was Central Park West. Now you have Westport with regard to Connecticut. How do you pick your scenes?
They're places where I have spent a lot of time. I lived in Westport for 5 years. I was the U.S. attorney and a federal prosecutor in New York and know Central Park West and the Upper West Side well. So it makes it easier because I'm putting scenes and imagining them in places that I know well.
You've said that your books somewhat resemble your career. Not exactly, though, but I'm curious how.
Well, because they're places I've been. I was a mob prosecutor in New York. Central Park West is about a mob prosecutor. I was the general counsel of a big hedge fund in Connecticut, and so this murder is cited at an imaginary hedge fund. And my oldest daughter is a federal prosecutor now in Manhattan, so that brings it current for me.
I want to switch gears here for a moment. As you know, political polarization is at an all-time high in this country. Is that something that keeps you up at night?
Yeah, it worries me. And I think it's cyclical. I think we've been in places like this before, but it worries me. I worry that people will react to it by withdrawing and not participating in the life of this country.
There was a recent poll that found 14% of voters said that economic and political systems need to be torn down entirely. 55% said that they need major changes. What do you see as the current trajectory with regard to politics in this country?
I think we're about as polarized as we're going to be. Historians have told me we were in a similar place in the 1890s, and we got better because people just got sick of being so angry at each other. So I think we will arc back together if we're intentional about trying to connect to each other.
Another recent poll found that about half of voters in swing states said that they actually worry about violence when it comes to the election. Do you think that is a valid concern?
In part. I worry about the threats directed at poll workers, people who are city council persons, that kind of thing, and also worry about people acting on those threats. I'm not concerned, believe it or not, about organized violence, large group violence, because I think a great message was sent of deterrence after January 6th. That's the way in which you will ruin your life if you do that.
Lawyer, author, teacher, government official, you've worn a number of hats. Do you have a favorite?
You left out grandfather, which is my current favorite hat. I loved being a federal prosecutor just with my own cases to worry about, but I also kind of love being a crime novelist. It's much more fun than I thought, harder, but much more fun. And when you combine that with my grandfather hat, oh, I'm a lucky person. Where
do you go when you're, just to go back to the writing for a moment, do you have somebody you confer with? Do you have somebody who's kind of sampling and you say, hey, what do you think? You know, somebody who can brainstorm with you as far as the direction?
Yeah, she's in the chair next to me every morning having coffee. My idea person and my editor-in-chief is the love of my life. Patrice has been giving me great feedback for a long, long time, and I hope that'll continue.
That's great. Mr. James Comey, we thank you so much. Continued success to you. Want to let our viewers know that you can buy Westport wherever books are sold.